Hi, new video. This is Tuesday, 26th of January 2016, 17:53 CET. Today would have been the day that I would have wanted to upload the first episode of Calls for Mankind. I've talked about this in the past and also talked about why it will not be uploaded today. It would have not been anything like what I had planned for, and still have planned, incidentally, for if it is possible with Charles, the truth, my kingdom for the truth, or if we have to do it with somebody else, whatever the fuck other title I would get. It wouldn't really have been something down those lines. Instead, as I explained in the past, it would have been mostly questions answered, which some of which would have been things that in my documents and emails some of you might have thought a little unclear or something, and some of them, at least in the first episode, would have been almost non-questions, namely little things that that I don't even consider real questions, because I don't think the question even arises, but that you might be wondering about nonetheless. For instance, in no particular order, why the cut in the video of number 8's recruiting when there are no cuts in any of the other videos? I assure you there was no cut in that video. What happened was the Mac recording it had a hiccup. That is not me deliberately cutting it. I don't know why it had a hiccup. Down those lines, next question, some videos have a high whirring, hissing noise. How comes? Once more, it's the Mac's thermal issues. This is 2009 aluminum iMac. Piece of shit on the thermal side, actually. The original combo drive had plastic parts that bent and got thwarted out of shape by the Mac's own thermal nature, which really means this thing is not built to last. So that's just the fucking fan in there. That's what it is. This is nothing you hear as a frequencies being broadcast or something. That is the fucking fan in the Mac. And there would be a lot of other questions. I don't want to go into all of them because they really are all over the board topics-wise. Just a few more that aren't even here. For instance, what about your other internet service provider? You are currently using A1. What about that dry internet service provider for which you still pay money? I can show you I'm not sure if you can see it. Oh yeah, no, that picks it up pretty well. There, this one here. This is the SIM of that modem that I had back in the dry days. What happened was simply that I had been a customer of theirs for a few years, and one day their modem got some defect and didn't work anymore. So I took it to the store and said, "Hello, I'm a customer of yours. I would like a replacement modem, please." And they said, "Oh, sure, that'd be like $40. And I said, "Come again?" And they said, "Well, that's $40, sir." And I said, "Well, no, certainly not, because the original modem was for free because I joined your services and the modem is part of it, and I expect a free exchange modem." And I said, "No, they don't do that." So I told him that he can go fucking die. And I was a little angry, so I stormed out of the store. And I just have not come around, and I know this sounds very funny to you and very odd and very strange. I have not come around yet to actually sit my ass down and write a letter to quit their services, and instead I'm paying 20 euros every month to them. It has to do something though with my stubbornness down certain lines. A somewhat analogous example would be my taking forever to officially leave the Roman Catholic Church, because I always bloody argued that I had never officially joined that shit, that you can't hold me responsible as a wee little kid being fucking baptized. Welcome to the club. You know, I never fucking joined anything. And I tried to explain that to their, in this former country, ex-Austria as it is, you had to actually pay money to be allowed membership in the Roman Catholic Church. It's a magnificent extortion racket there. And, well, that's a thing of the past, as the RCC is in Finland a thing of the past. Good thing that. So it's a long story. No, I am not having a second modem or anything. I am not secretly communicating with anybody. I ain't, okay? If that is the question some of you might have. And there'd be tons and tons and tons and tons of other such pseudo questions. Instead of answering all of them, I'll just change topic completely. This afternoon at the little course I have to do for the unemployment office, I contacted MI6 and CIA via their websites again. And once more, with the CIA at least I got a confirmation code. It is CM978Z9. That is the confirmation code. It included, once more, kindly asking to be gotten out of here, but it also might have included something that, you know, there are such a lot of things that to me seem perfectly obvious, yet to some people out there still not understanding what's going on, idiots that they are, that you are really, seem not quite that obvious. And I have a hesitation for playing Captain Obvious, no shit. So when I say that anybody is to get me out of here, what that really means is I am completely 100% willing to cooperate with you when it comes to the research of these technologies. In other words, you can use me as a guinea pig, so to speak, test subject, in a civilized manner, because this thing can be tested and researched without the fucking deliberate torture, in inhumane nature that they shove my way. Okay? So if you wonder if I would be willing to cooperate, duh! Hello? You stupid fucks. So that's not a question. I told the MI6 that I tried to contact the, what is he, Duke, Earl, something of Northumberland. I tried to a few days ago via his castle's, I don't remember the name of his castle, where he lives he has a homepage, the castle has a homepage, and there's a contact form and some online web form. I tried to contact him because he spent a few years down at Arundel when he was younger, and I could imagine that if you spend a few years down in Arundel and wind up in a possession of well over 300 million quid, you might have stumbled across something down there incidentally, who knows? And I tried to contact him a few days ago, and nothing happened so far. So I kindly asked the MI6 that, you know, they should just tell him that maybe he has an interest in getting me out of here, and if not, I would appreciate, like, say, $1 million bucks, euros even, not even pounds, euros my way. Yes, $1 million bucks. See, you can support mankind, and I swear one day you will get a t-shirt where it will say, I helped mankind and what I got was this awesome t-shirt. Okay? One day you'll get there by sending money my way. If you're in a category having 300 plus million quid, then you send about $1 million bucks on my bank account. I would appreciate that. Thank you. I am absolutely serious with this. Another thing I wrote to the MI6 is how, I know you don't have the screen, actually one of the differences between recording at me, so to speak, with the little camera there on the top, and recording the screen is that the videos resulting thereof are significantly smaller if they're recorded up there rather than the screen recordings, the on-screen recording, so to speak, which is the which has the advantage that I can make these videos a little longer, because the USB stick that I have is 16 gigabytes, and it is slowly but surely reaching the limits of its capacity. So let's go over to my mail program. I know you don't see this. I got yesterday, as I showed you in the past video, I did contact the Zendesk at gov.uk via really the Home Office website, and when I got back, I got back something called gov.uk is the support at gov.uk.zendesk.com, renamed regarding named contact. Hello again, Ross W. gov.uk, January 25th, 11:06. Dear Wolfgang, hello, please see link below to contact MI5. And what they sent me is a bloody link to the MI5's web page's contact page, where I've been a regular for the last fucking few years, really, at this point. Regards, Russ W. You know, so, hello Russ W. I know you're a shit little unimportant nobody, but pass this forward to your bosses. You fucking die, Russ W. And I told the MI6 also that apparently the Home Office is beyond help. And yeah, I mean, I did understand, you know, I understood that someone had severely fucked MI5 and MI6. And obviously with MI5 that would be Home Office is way more likely than with MI6. But I thought maybe I underestimated, isolated and secluded as I am here, because if I were bloody over there, it would be a completely different story. But here, it obviously is a little harder to tear the MI5 out of the clutches of whoever the fuck controls them. But then, I tried it. I just want to let you know that. I went to I went to the Marines, the US Marine homepage, and I just wrote something to their public service desk, which is really a generally defense.gov IT service desk. And I got some standard reply, blah, blah, blah. So for what that's worth, yes. So that's that. At the course today, see, what this course this particular week is about is several hours of me having to look all around the internet for wanted ads, there, tip of my tongue, and there are not several hours worth of new wanted ads every single fucking day. So what I do for the most part is just pointlessly surf around the internet there. And I did me some Google searching and Bing searching, and it turned out that they have already elaborately started slandering and discrediting technical terms that I used in all manners of ways. Some of them are so threadbare that I don't feel that they really are much of an issue. One or two, though, there is one, for instance, that I think it was, I can just test this here. I think one was at the Google, I think it was Trapshaw and Fryland, those two search words. And the result on the image search, and the result, you get a very strange map. There's a lot of strange maps online associated with technical terms in my name and whatnot, which is remarkable. All kinds of crazy ass shit associated with it just to discredit it. But there was one in particular about the OMD. I'm not sure if it was on that one. Well, here is one, the MOD military at the X conference, some UFOs, crop circles and whatnot, blah, 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 blah. See, I want to briefly talk about the OMD. What is the OMD? You know, I don't mean that pop band from the late 70s, no. Even though that one hit they had pretty early on I rather liked. Other than that, personally, it's not my kind of thing, and they are not what I talk about, right? I'm not talking about bands for a change. What is the OMD. The OMD is a letter swap of MOD. Greatly simplified. I'm not perfectly sure if OMD ever actually had an official, so to speak, meaning, these three letters. I just think of it as, for example, only military decision making. What does that mean? That means the very idea to have something like the Ministry of Defense being quintessentially, whether they're fucking peer or not, I don't care, but being quintessentially civil servants, quintessentially bloody politicians, deciding ultimately over military topics, and they might have the alibi dude in the uniform along, but quintessentially it is bloody politicians deciding over soldiers, greatly simplified, and not putting it incorrectly. That is precisely what the MOD is. The brass of the military way back figured, you know what, in a world of inhumane technologies and mindfucking and whatnot, where especially all things armed forces are at the very center of it all, namely, unfortunately, even more on the passive / receiving end than on the active / giving end, believe this or not, we certainly don't want no bloody fucking politicians, you know, stiff upper lip bloody peerage Lord fuck Weddington to fucking tell us what we are to do. And so what happened was, military staff only developed their own little thing, namely, in parallel and independent to the MOD, you had the OMD. Okay? I should just click away the Google here because I don't see where I am on the camera. I know it's pretty dark. Right? So basically, it was soldiers realizing, namely back when they weren't completely delusional about these technologies and what you could do with them and so on and so forth, when they knew what they were and how to operate them and so on and so forth, before bloody idiots had all information destroyed and those who knew about the information destroyed for all practical purposes, those people, those soldiers, realized, you know, we take care of this ourselves. Secretly. The MOD had no fucking idea. I mean, chances at a certain point, they ran against the wall of brass telling them, well, you just bloody have to accept it. You know, and they probably were foaming at the mouth, the MOD fuckers, these civil servants, or not so civil servants, to use, well, never mind that reference. And that is basically the OMD. And if now you think that, well, but doesn't that wind up in something like the Abwehramt? I assure you, no. In fact, the OMD is the perfect antithesis to something like the Abwehramt. Okay? Which is why bloody Charles, or whoever he lost it all to, did away with the OMD. And it seems to be gone these days, I take it. Fine. Then again, I so wish that somewhere, be it in the jungles of India, some old fuckers of the OMD are still alive and all able to listen somehow, because it would be so easy if we had the bloody OMD back. But if we had the bloody OMD back, we would not be bloody having this problem in the world. We, namely all mankind, would not be having this bloody problem. So that is the OMD. Just because there's OMD discrediting and whatnot. Another thing, very important thing. I noted one of the jobs offered at Korea. It was a Viennese newspaper, Korea. One of the wanted ads there was from the Japanese. I guess quintessentially probably was for the Japanese embassy, though it was not issued by the Japanese embassy but by the Japanese foreign ministry or something like that. They just sought for some assistant or something for Vienna, I assume to work in the Vienna embassy of Japan. And that wanted ad was dated 16th of January this year, 16th of January, which when it comes to my videos, I'm not going to look it up now, but when it comes to my videos, was after me having explained 16 stewing and so on, right? So there is an wee little astronomical outside chance that the Japanese, who are regular recipients of my emails, on the assumption that my emails are let through to them, mind you, might try to somehow signal me, maybe not even contact me, but just signal me something, I wouldn't know. Why do I say might be such a chance? Because 2 years ago, or even longer, or maybe not 2 years ago, I don't quite remember, but easily 1.5 years ago. So something like 1.5 years to 2.5 years ago, there was a job vacancy at the American Embassy in Vienna, namely for the mailroom, wink wink nudge nudge. And back then, that was sheer perfect ridicule aimed at me. Okay? Why was it ridiculed? Because I show you the Abwehrdunstkreis, and all of the insane people working together with them here utterly control all of your staff, all of them. Every single last motherfucking one of you. If you don't believe me, go get a hold of this Christmas, like a month ago, free daily newspaper here in Vienna called Heute, where I'm not sure if it was on the 23rd or 24th or 25th or 22nd maybe or thereabouts, but one of these days they dragged the entire staff of the British Embassy onto the bloody cover and had them issue season greetings for no other reason than to ridicule me and try to scare off any bloody Brits out there. Get a hold of that issue. In fact, that newspaper is full of things aimed at ridiculing me, scaring away others, and so on and so forth. So, why do I mention this? I assure you, even if, hypothetically, now it could have been sheer coincidence, admittedly. I'm not saying that it might not be sheer coincidence. Maybe the U.S. Embassy looked for a mailroom guy like that back then, and maybe the Japanese just looked for some assistant, both of which job, my CV would fit both of these jobs. That's the point. Adding on the Japanese thing, I figured today that my old company where I used to work, Yokohama here in Vienna, actually has a Japanese guy as a boss again, which I rather like. But that is either also a sheer coincidence or something that is even more ridicule for the simple reason that it's been extracted through the fields. So that is that. Sorry, I didn't finish that before. If the Americans and or the Japanese think that it's their free decision to signal me whatever, I assure you it is not your free decision. And if you have your local staff here in Vienna, and that does include every fucker from the CIA or who the fuck ever who you have near United Nations or whatever, they are all getting their minds fucked by the Abwehr. Every motherfucking last one of them. It's not that they never dare. They do. And they have been doing forever. Okay? So just on the outside chance that the Japanese a few days ago tried to signal something to me with that ad, I can only tell the Japanese, well, I'll come to Japan. I love Japan. I always wanted to go there. I actually mean to retire there, at least temporarily, in Abashiri. Doesn't matter. I can also tell you that I started learning Japanese 4 or 5 years ago, even longer ago, and I had the beginnings pretty much solidly down, and it is 100% completely blocked from access in my head. I can tell you that too. I am completely blocked access to my Japanese, which is now also to my other languages, admittedly. I had Italian down pretty well. I mean, absolute beginner, but especially my passive understanding of Italian was pretty decent. Maybe not my active Italian, and that got blocked even. Today I tried to, at the course I visited, what is it called? La Repubblica, which is a newspaper, website that is, and I noted again how just skimming some lines there, how it's not happening, you know, and not because there's anything wrong in my brain as of lasting damage or something. These are live illegal connections preventing access to that, and routines placed, and filters, and the memory accessing being severely botched, and so namely sabotage botched. Okay? But if the Japanese, that's what I meant to say, if the Japanese really, you know, hey, you're invited, get me out of Vienna. And on that topic, I want to point out that I still have my map of Paris kick around somewhere that I got as a free gift at the information desk at Gare du Nord. Why do I bring this up? If your problem in getting me out of Vienna is the distance from Vienna to, you know, I mentioned in the last video, or 2 videos ago, where I don't want to go, right? I did explain how, for example, France is fine. Now, I assure you there is a lot of Fex Mundi creatures in France, and they are very insane, but I also assure you, one of my videos had this thing where I explained how this pertains to the mannerism app and whatnot. That was a French thing that not at all chimes with the view and knowledge level of the IGs here at the Filth Eagles in Ex-Austria. Okay? So the French Fex Mundi are not the problem. I'm not afraid of the fucking French Fex Mundi. What do I mean? If you find it impossible to pick me up from Vienna, maybe you might find it possible to pick me up from France. In that case, have, say, 500 euros come to me, and a date when I am to be in Paris. Why 500 euros? Because that covers, say, a bus trip from Vienna to Paris, and I'll go there all by myself, and should I be fucked up, I will have enough money to just return again the next day, right? I will not be stranded once more. I have no more intention of ever getting fucking stranded anywhere. But if your problem is getting near Vienna, right? Hey, I can come towards you, so to speak. How about Paris? Or any fucking place, right? That explained. Another thing. Why do you always look that way? For the simple reason that on this side is a wall. This is a wall. So the Mac is right in the corner. There is nothing there. There's practically nothing lying here on the desk. There's my mug. And I just want to look into the distance every now and then, right? As I go for thoughts. And there is no distance possible, and there is no distance possible. So the only place where distance is possible is that away. And also on the desk here is all kinds of shit lying, right? So there's another question explained. I want to also touch back on what I said the last video around on the accent issue, because that question started with what does the pitch of the voice change every now and then? Because they have bereaved me of my own voice, basically. Throughout my life, I've taken great pride in my voice, especially my ability to very carefully and controlledly change my voice in softness and tone and whatnot. And of course, everything beyond voice. I mean, even my voice in a sheer audio way, right? And then we get to choice of words and choice of tone in choice of words and so on and so forth. But my actual voice physically is not allowed to me. Why? Because I always I don't want to say I loved my voice, I just liked my voice. I used it a whole lot. I maneuvered through life with the aid of my voice. Okay? And that was one of the first things a long time ago that they completely sabotaged. Said boy is not allowed his fucking voice. Why? Has also to do with some fucking crazy fucking lurches. Because I wrote a little poem ages ago in teenage days wherein it said something about the voice of the snake of Eden, and all of a sudden the next thing you know is if they wrongly explain it, they wrongly declared I'm the fucking snake of Eden or something. Well, I am not kidding you, okay? There are people messing around here who are completely 100% insane. And by the way, talking about completely 100% insane, as I also mentioned recently, I've been thinking about all the shit that happened over the last few years, and that does include the Royal Baby 2013, in case some of you fuckers remember this. I mentioned this specifically because, and this didn't occur to me until today, namely that I suddenly realized that Royal Baby, which got a lot of witchcraft idiocy sicked at me, and I did have the impression that from within Vienna, I fuck you not, okay? Witches, delusional witches, and I guess this goes towards Edward, with your stupid fucking witch in the background. As we now know, that Royal Baby is not a royal baby, cause fucking William is no fucking royal. Okay? He might be a nice bloke if you want to elect him your next king on the grounds of him being a nice bloke. I don't give a rat's ass. See, when here's another thing I want to, so basically, all of that fucking witchcraft shit that you shoved my way, that delusional crap you shoved my way, while I still had to swallow it because that was before me deleting the scenario apps, pointless. You fucking idiots. And those were people, as I said before, most likely some people in this country here, then as it was, Austria, since abolished. But, see, I never said, I will behead all royals in Albion. I did generalize somewhat. I do remember that in the, by the way, world document, blah, 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 that basically all leaders, all fucking royals and whatnot will be put down or something. First of all, that was a generalization and obvious from such. And second of all, I did mention in the email recently that if you don't want to be put down, you know, you can just get active for mankind and not be put down. Hey, it's in your hands. And thirdly, when I mentioned the Marshal of Albion and the Isles little title, note how it doesn't say Führer of Albion. Note how it doesn't say Emperor of Albion. Quintessentially, I don't care about Albion. Okay? I care about mankind, I care about Europe, I care about Thailand. Fact is that the UK as such is history. You have, I've explained this in the past, Scotland larger than it used to be, an island, Wales, not an island, a Wales larger than it used to be. Northern Ireland went to Ireland, that's not the topic. And in England, smaller than it used to be. And those three are no longer united to anything. They are three distinct countries, period. That is the only thing you will have to accept. They're beyond, I don't give a rat's ass quintessentially. I will take the personal liberty of going, oh fuck, how fucked in the head are they if you reintroduce bloody monarchy and shit like that. Yeah. But I am entitled to my personal opinion. I am prime protector of mankind, you stupid fucks, okay? So I am entitled to my personal opinion over fucking idiots who believe that monarchy is a good concept, okay? So, and if you want to have bloody William, who's a bloody nobody, as bloody king, fine. I don't want to be king. I'm just going to be marshal. And the idea was that under me, there'd be individual marshals. In fact, for Scotland, the idea was that the clan heads would have been included into that. And for England, I never really put this on video, though of course I know that some fuckers get information on Albion. Namely, I don't want to drop names here, but Kent, line-wise, right? You might be surprised that with England having shrunk a little, the regional, sorry, that was the screensaver, and it going dark and the light not working, this went dark, okay? It might surprise you, or just be something you find fascinating, that smaller England as it is then, the regional borders will be adopted somewhat. I did put some consideration into that, and we'll go back to terminology only of the heptarchy days. Yes, indeed. And there'll be 7 regions, and each of those regions quintessentially, and all of England will have a marshal. Hypothetically, that is Edward, at least for the time being. Quintessentially, he will be only Marshal of Sussex, because all of the 7, so beneath the Marshal of England, you have 7 individual marshals, okay, with London maybe having an own one, and so on and so forth, right? So when I don't want to bloody conquer Albion, okay? I don't conquer anything, really. I don't perceive conquering a good idea or concept. It's not quite as motard as fascism or monarchy, but it's pretty pointless, really. I mean, as in, you know, you could do things differently than bloody conquer. I just want to base of operations. There's a nice term. Thank you, Face. Base of operations. It would be, considering how historically it all started there, considering how there must be, and be it lost in some archives, some information still found there, right? It would be the perfect base of operations for me to liberate mankind. I mean, the absolutely easiest way, of course, would be if maybe out there in the wide world, especially maybe if the information is forwarded to others, other countries and so on, and all of a sudden it might turn out that suddenly there is a certain interest, after all, in mankind not going to the dogs. What do you know? The easiest thing would be if all those powers that understand, and be it now, that, yes indeed, inhumane technologies have to go and fixed money has to be put down, that they all contribute and work together by simply, greatly simplified, the whole world fucking doing in Freiland fixed mundi, you know, the filth eagles. That would be the easiest way. I wouldn't have to move my ass out of here, you know. If all the world declared war on bloody ex-Austria, ex-Germany, unfortunately parts of ex-Italy, ex-Denmark, well, they're still Denmark, but the filth eagles, and of course, for that, over in bloody America, you would have had to cut the ties to the European filth eagles, and also, well, I'm not telling you how to think it through. That would be the easiest thing. But I understand apparently that's not how you want it. So I have to go elsewhere to liberate mankind. Albion would lend itself there. Okay? So, one of the questions that I would have had elaborately answered on the first show of Calls for Mankind would be, well, what about these technologies? I mean, don't you remember that you contradict yourself? You say this has been around for 30 years, this has been around since the 50s, all of a sudden it's been around since before World War II. That's a little self-contradictory, isn't it? The answer to that is, no it is not, because I'm not talking about one and the same thing. These are different stages of technological development. Pre-World War II was the crude shared mind being worked on a very small basis and in a very primitive way in a attempted at mass basis, but more indoctrinating only rather than passively left to simmer along. What I mentioned on having crawled out of the Navy labs was to the brain, specific individual to the brain connections already. That was in the 50s Navy labs. Admittedly, pretty much thereabouts at the same time, also the Brits must have, in parallel, independently though, developed something to that extent. Okay? So it is a progress of technologies. I am not contradicting myself. And and that explained. There was something else. I wrote the CIA and the MI6. No, I explained that. Oh yeah. I also mentioned one particular thing to the MI6 in the message that I sent today, tried to send today. It's in the intro, my dear MI6. You can find that on YouTube actually, and I assure you no, that is not an American you hear talking. And I assure you there was an episode of the show back in the 70s where he actually talked with an American accent, where you give that very accent pretty much 20 years in between for him to work on. And also some of the voice talking routines, and I swear that's him. And that is hands down 5 years after he allegedly died, which means he must have gone into limbo or not. Now, he must not necessarily have gone into limbo, but that place where he allegedly died is picture book limbo material, maybe even to this day. And somebody, though, must have gotten him out of there, right? So, and the interesting thing is, I am pretty darn sure that the 94-95 job was actually still done by the OMD. No shit. Which is interesting insofar as that it would imply that in 94-95 you still had the OMD at least happen. Maybe already in the underground, maybe seemingly so. I mean, they always were sort of kind of in the underground, in the sense that they tried their best to be in the underground from the MOD and Charles or whoever it was then. But that was guerrilla thing. And those were old OMDers who pulled that. So they must have gotten them out of limbo. Okay? I'm not sure if they put them into limbo, but they must have gotten them out of limbo to do that. My dear MI6. And that is that. Basically, coming back to the beginning of the show, donations to me, and when I say me, I assure you it's not about me craving caviar and I don't know, champagne or something. Any individual out there who contributes money to me, and this is especially, this is not going to, as I mentioned last show, €6 would help me already, but I'm talking people like, say, Percy, is he called Percy? Yeah, the good Percy, not his first name. I can guarantee you that you can declare that as a donation, because you help mankind with it. If that is not a donation, then nothing in history ever was a donation. So whatever your local laws on taxes and whatnot, and how you can get them tax, blah, 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 that is one donation to allow you some free tax, so to speak, okay? No shit. And as Prime Minister of Ireland, I would insist that it would treat it like that on international tax agreements and whatnot. So, money my way, please. And or, ideally, you don't even bother sending money my way, but put the money, I don't know, get the money from the bank, and then get me out of Vienna and put me where the money is somewhere outside of Vienna. Okay? That would be the ideal situation. Thank you.